You know that feeling, right? There's this tiny little problem on your to-do list, but somehow in your head it's grown into this terrifying monster. We've all been there. So today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens, and more importantly, what you can do about it. It's such a weirdly common thing, isn't it? You put off one small task, and the next thing you know, just the thought of it is totally overwhelming. If you've ever felt that, you're in good company. This is a classic psychological pattern, and we're going to get to the bottom of it with a really simple but powerful metaphor. Okay, so let's set this up like a little story. And to make this really stick, I want you to actually picture something in your own life right now. You know, that one nagging task, that email you haven't sent, that tricky conversation you've been avoiding. Got it? Perfect. That's exactly where our story starts. And here's the thing you've got to remember. Our biggest, scariest anxieties almost never start out as monsters. Nope. They start as something tiny, something you could probably handle in, what, 5 minutes? But you don't. You hesitate. You tell yourself, I'll do it later. So let's give this small, totally harmless problem a name. From now on, we're going to call it a rabbit. Think about it. It fits, right? A rabbit is small, it's quick, and it's really not a threat. It's just kind of there. All right, now pay attention because this is the crucial turning point. You see the rabbit, you know you should probably deal with it, but instead, you turn around and walk away. And that one simple act of avoidance is where a very strange, very powerful psychological magic trick begins. We're going to call this phenomenon the rabbit's shadow. And what's so wild about it is how it completely hijacks your focus. You stop thinking about the actual problem, the rabbit, and your mind gets totally fixated on the fear that you've built up around it. I mean, just think about the mechanics of this. When you're running away from something, your back is turned to it. You literally can't even see the small rabbit anymore. All you can see is this giant, distorted, monstrous shadow it's casting out in front of you. And pretty soon, that shadow becomes your reality.
Let's make this super concrete. The rabbit, it's just an overdue bill. But the shadow? Oh, that's the fear of complete financial ruin. The rabbit is one tough email you have to write. The shadow is the crushing fear that your entire reputation is about to be destroyed. The gap between reality and fear is massive, but when you're running, man, that shadow feels 100% real.
So how in the world do you escape a shadow that you're creating yourself? Well, there's only one way. And it's funny because it's both the simplest and somehow the hardest thing to do. You have to stop running and just turn around. See, that shadow has zero power on its own. It's a complete parasite. It borrows all of its size, all of its scariness entirely from your avoidance. The second you stop feeding it your attention and your fear, you cut off its only life source. And that moment, the moment you finally pivot and face it, is unbelievably powerful. It's like flipping a switch. The monstrous shadow that's been haunting you for days, maybe even weeks, it just collapses. It shrinks back down to its true size in a split second. And what's left when all that terrifying darkness just evaporates? Just the rabbit. That's all. You finally see the problem in its true proportions, maybe for the very first time. It was never a monster. It was always just a small, manageable task that you had the power to handle all along. Okay, so this is a nice metaphor and all, but how do we actually use it? Let's turn this idea into a simple, actionable game plan you can pull out the next time you feel one of those shadows starting to grow. It's just a 3-step process, super simple. First, identify the rabbit and be specific. Don't say, I'm stressed about work. Say, I need to reply to that one specific email from Dave. Step 2, acknowledge the shadow. Name that big, exaggerated fear. I'm afraid he'll think I'm incompetent if I answer. And finally, step 3, face the rabbit. Don't try to solve the whole thing at once. Just take one tiny step. Open the draft, write the first sentence. That's it. That's the win. And the payoff for that one tiny act of courage is huge, and it's immediate. You're not just solving one little problem, you're actively preventing it from growing into a big one. You build real confidence. But maybe most importantly, you reclaim all that mental energy you were wasting on running away. You get your focus back. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Think back to that small, nagging problem we talked about at the very beginning. Now you have the tools to see it for what it really is. So the only question left is, what small shadow are you gonna shrink today?